We've got Brad Altfest from Agora IO, who's going to be speaking today. And, you know, now that more of us are consuming more video and delivering more video, the next step is to increase real-time engagement with that video through audio and video itself. So, Brad, I'd like to welcome you to the screen if you turn on your camera. Good to see you.
Likewise. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that.
You bet. And I will just pass the mic and the video over to you. Again, if you got questions, raise your hand or put them in the Q&A box, and we'll answer all those questions throughout the presentation. Brad, take it away.
Alrighty, thanks, Eric, and thank you, Streaming Media East Connect. Hey there, everybody. I'm Brad Altfest, and I'm from Agora IO. And today we'll be talking about real-time engagement for meaningful human connections. So what do we mean by that? Well, I promise to keep this as entertaining as possible, as any PowerPoint presentation can be. So here we go, everybody. And as Eric mentioned, please feel free to interrupt me. I can be a little bit of a fast-talking New Yorker, so you may have to work a little to get my attention, but I really want this to be a fun and interactive session for everybody. So first, a little bit about me. My name is Brad Altfest. I've spent my entire career in the video industry. Here's a little NASCAR slide with some of the different providers I've worked for over the years, up to Agora IO these days. To give you a sense of who I am, I listed a few of those companies specifically because, you know, I've straddled the OVP space, the CDN space. That is not what the conversation today is going to be about. But if you've ever seen a standard definition Sony DVD, you've actually seen an example of one of the early technology products that I had worked on. So who is Agora IO? We, with our SDK installed on over 3 billion devices worldwide, Agora is the largest programmable video API, SDK, and real-time engagement platform as a service. Today's talk is going to be about how social audio and video is redefining user engagement, which quite simply means connecting with others, sharing experiences, and enabling the end viewer to literally put themselves in the primary content experience. So these are the topics that we're going to be covering today. What is real-time engagement? A little bit of the how we power it, a bit of an exploration of the current state of online audio and video, and why social audio and video is the answer to that. And then finally, we're going to go through a few different trend studies to talk about what's happening these days. So imagine until now, the viewing experience has been one way, one to many, the lean back experience, as we call it. And how many new lean back experiences can we really have? At this point, key players in the industry are struggling to play catch up to just having their own OTT channels. But the reality is there is so much more that is technically possible than is currently being exploited industry-wide. This is a tech talk, but this isn't a delivery conversation. So think of this as like the anti-CDN. Real-time engagement is providing an immersive user experience where the viewer becomes a part of the production. Global trends we're seeing out in the market already includes co-watching parties. We've already seen, you know, we've all tried doing this during COVID, right? You're on your Zoom with your buddies, you have your primary TV, everybody kind of queues up the movie or the TV show we're all going to watch together, and then, hey, everybody, play. Well, that's not exactly a very integrated experience. And now there's a way to synchronize the primary viewing experience in a real way and have companion audio, video, and text chat available to interact during the show. Further, virtual concerts provide opportunities for the viewer to have a shared audio experience, and even with video walls, which we'll touch on later, become a part of the theatrical process itself. RTE also supports remote and real-time cloud-based production, gambling, gamification of content, virtual tipping, live shopping. Really, the possibilities are endless. And today, we're going to talk about some of the underlying technologies that make all of this possible, a few trend studies from the RTE landscape, and a bit of a discussion about how you can bring these same immersive social audio and video experiences into a variety of applications and platforms. There are a variety of verticals which are an obvious pair for RTE: online education and e-learning, telemedicine, online finance, in addition to synchronization in real time to like a Bloomberg terminal. Imagine the value add of getting tips and tricks from the experts at the same time. Talk about smart investing. But for the purposes of today's talk, I'm going to stay focused mainly on media and entertainment use cases. So how do we power the real time? Remember I said earlier, think of this as like the anti-CDN? And yes, this will be a stats for nerds section of this presentation, which to be clear includes me, and to explain a bit about the technology stack. At its core, what makes this all possible is a software-defined network. In this instance, a software-defined real-time network, averaging 300 milliseconds latency globally. On top of this, we provide real-time optimized audio and video codecs served via our implementation of WebRTC. We have over 250 POPs worldwide and support a 99.99% uptime, serving billions of bidirectional social audio and video streams per month, making us the most widely used intelligent real-time engagement network. In short, we provide the backend so you can focus on building the things you're great at: premium content, innovative applications, and beautiful user experiences. What that architecture translates to client side, we're able to deliver synchronized audio and video bidirectionally at less than 800 milliseconds latency glass to glass globally, as opposed to the best results possible from a CDN, which can range from anywhere between 5 to 15 seconds latency with little to no instrumentation for synchronization or social interaction. With auto-adjusting bitrate and frame rate, end-to-end algorithm optimization, a jitter buffer mechanism, and a multidimensional network estimation model, the power of our SDK orchestrated with our network is intended to try to mitigate as much of the last mile problem as possible to provide a premium experience to end customers. Think of Agora as an intelligent endpoint with an SDK that does a lot of work. The two together are connected as opposed to a CDN, which is just one way. What does this all do? Just think that real time is presence, present together. That's the power behind RTE. We are together right now. It's one button away from get on the stage and talk or otherwise do your thing. The low latency is the enabler of that presence, like we are in the same room. And in fact, everyone there is integral to the experience. So let's take a look at the current state of online audio and video. Approximately 169 million Americans listen to online audio weekly, spending an average of over 15 hours to do so. Audio is so great from a content production perspective because there's a low bar for production for content generators. There are less restrictions on the content, and you can literally turn a good portion of your audience into content generators. Monthly podcast consumers grew by 16% year over year, cresting 100 million Americans for the first time. 24% of people listened to podcasts in the last week, myself among them. However, monetization in the audio space lags behind in both industry attention and underestimated by capital markets. Keeping in mind this is just audio, and while revenue is growing, still lags behind other content types. This is due to many factors, including a lack of targeting data. The same trends are holding true for video. No need to go into the details regarding the increase in consumption, especially as the pandemic has accelerated adoption of newer forms of content consumption. But how long will these traditional lean-back experiences retain popularity as things open back up and we're all craving social interaction? Well, now we get to why social audio and video. So this is where podcast meets social engagement, and can turn your long tail UGC or PUGC, that's produced UGC, content into waterfall events, drive traffic, drive engagement, and help drive what is effectively an organic social recommendation engine, while also building more sophisticated data models. This can be in the form of common interest micro channels, and while more valuable content makes the platform more valuable to consumers, it also makes the content creation more valuable, as the premium content also helps drive traffic and engagement to the more obscure, the next new big hit in podcasts, and drives viewers to creators, creating a virtuous cycle. This also helps create a rich user data set to help with contextual advertising, which is especially important as we move into a privacy-aware state among our viewers, especially on the iPhone ecosystem. Why does this really matter? Everyone listens to produced content, but the monetization is primarily of benefit to two companies, Facebook and Google, and that is a problem. So this is how you take back your own destiny, take back your money by taking back your user engagement. So the best representation today that everyone knows about of social audio livecast is, of course, Clubhouse. This creates a content forum in which people can express their opinions more freely, strengthen the connection between content creators and consumers in a brand new real-time enabled way. And part of what makes this sticky is the ephemeral nature that the story only lasts for 24 hours. Clubhouse has both active users and interest groups, helping to build in exclusivity and enable monetization with tiers of membership. To touch on the data generated by social interaction, tags can be associated with both users and groups, helping to generate recommendation engine to more content for ad campaigns or both. Key opinion leaders also help drive this virtuous cycle. To take the same idea and apply it to the OTT space, think of the virtuous data ecosystem you can create by running RTE alongside your traditional OTT. So the OTT platform will have its own users and social data. The OTT platform can get real-time audio and video data by connecting to Agora's API. At this point, hopefully you are starting to see how from the delivery layer to the application layer, this really applies to so many different scenarios to provide immersive, meaningful, interactive experiences and actionable data sets. Now that we've covered the architecture and some capabilities, let's apply them. So why social audio and video in sports? Well, as rights holders rely almost exclusively on their live product, it's left to the buyers of their content to create their own value, which means the product offered is not flexible or dynamic enough. And then there's the complexity of the license agreements themselves, very limited often. Social commentary itself creates an entirely new set of rights groups. Let that idea sink in. Why social audio and video in sports? Simply falling revenue. VOD is proven difficult to monetize. Revenue from traditional sponsorship is moving to digital advertising, and active fans that attend and engage in sports continue skewing older, while Gen Z is looking for much more personalized experiences. In fact, Gen Z, aka the target demo, are not as interested in sports. Phones and computers rule this group. So what are we doing to make sports more engaging, more interactive, and meet Gen Z where they live, on their phones, in apps, and in games? Well, with RTE, you can hold a pregame show to psych up your fans and get them into a social, engaged state of mind. You could even do things like present a game during the pregame show. Hey, let's do a replay of the last game. Continue the engagement with a watch party during the main event and provide multiple camera angles selectable by the end user. Without real time, without the ability to synchronize those video feeds, you cannot create that experience. And yet you'll see even the watch post-game button on the bottom right-hand corner. You just loved that game you watched. Maybe you want to watch it again. Now you get a chance to watch the game in an entirely different way by just enabling different camera angles. And then for the super fans who still haven't gotten enough and to encourage increased impressions, now it's time for the post-game show. Want to continue to increase user engagement to bring on a longer share of your audience? Give them a chance to talk to their favorite players. Maybe you hold a raffle. The top 3 super fans in your group get to ask the player a question after the game. With RTE, you can increase your revenue, increase your fan engagement, create a close relationship between rights holders and fans, and benefit from this direct-to-consumer model. You'll see the same technologies and viewing experiences can be applied to the live and hybrid concert experience, as well as provide opportunities for yet more and innovative real-time engagement experiences. So again, we can do the watch party for live concert. You just didn't manage to get a ticket in time. Enjoy it with your friends, fellow fans, maybe dance together, share group text messages, audio, video interactions. Let's all sing along. Various marketing strategies could be used with initiatives and paid enhanced content. You can even monetize for your UGC commentators with virtual or even real money tipping. Again, we're talking about multiple camera angles in this instance for enhanced views of the concert, even having an experience that is superior to the in-person view. Finally, a new function, the fan wall. As applicable as a virtual jumbotron in sports as it becomes an artistic expression as part of a concert. Imagine being at home, watching your favorite band play, but now while the performance is live, you trigger your video interactively and are a part of the live concert experiences, appearing not merely online, but also at the live venue on the video wall behind the performance, as you enjoy it yourself from the comfort of your own home. So let's go back to the technology a little bit that enables this. Real-time engagement means real-time optimization and real-time expertise. In our own platform, we have codec expertise. And so for audio, we have a number of different technologies available. Some are applied to things like forward versus bidirectional error correction, as well as HQ audio, and a variable to switch between voice versus music optimization. This also includes social features such as pitch change. So you can still interact vocally, but modify your voice for privacy. Think of this as like the snap camera for audio, and of course, provides for similar opportunities for filter enhancements of video as well. We also provide AI-powered technology applied to things like noise isolation, suppressing common noise, adapting to the source acoustic conditions dynamically, providing the highest quality audio results in real time from any end user, from an actual full production to just a home user on their laptop. Basically, everything you need to meet a variety of real-time engagement use cases right out of the box. Want to make things even more immersive? This is an example of being able to apply audio expertise to a 360-degree audio experience. Additional technical add-ons to meet the demands of social audio include a double talk detector, take out the need for pre or post-production audio monitoring, leveling, and switching. I also want to highlight our echo path estimation algorithm. You're likely thinking about Zoom's echo cancellation on the desktop client. Very, very simple. The key thing here is echo cancellation on end devices. So by that, we mean your car, your phone speaker, 5,000 different types of Android devices globally. That's a lot of hard work. In the browser, that's easy. But on the phone, and with hundreds of countries, 10 million DAU, this is where you typically will hit a snag. Basically, we've been optimizing this at scale for a while, and you get all the benefit of this technology our other customers have asked for. This is all how you should think about our SDK. We're not just a video SDK. We are an SDK that's about the customer-sourced best practice of how you integrate social audio and video into your application. And of course, the goal is to increase your user engagement in order to increase and attract views and encourage stickiness and create elongated sustained views, all towards the end of driving revenue. After only 1 year of launching real-time engagement, our customers are seeing a 2,000-time increase in revenue, a 1,000-time increase in fan base, and an 1,800% increase in user session length. So now we get to the really fun part. Let's take a look at the actual technology in action. These are trends that we're seeing out in the industry where RTE is being utilized heavily. So a nice example of a very traditional M&E provider, Disney and Hotstar, offering TV shows, movies, live sports news, and more in an RTE way. With over 300 million active users in the platform, they decided to enhance their user engagement with their premium content by offering co-watching parties in their Watch with Your Friends app. Of course, the quintessential real-time engagement application everyone knows about is Clubhouse, as we talked about before, a live, interactive, ephemeral, real-time experience. We talked about it, in particular the groups. Think of each group as if it were in fact a TV channel, the hot rod channel, the bowling channel, the fashion channel, with even more refined subcategorizations than even we could conceive of in a traditional way. This allows for the new types of truly personalized viewing experiences. Another social audio application example with a sports use case, which due to the unscripted and live nature of sports content is what makes it such a natural fit for RTE. You see in this instance, easy access to have watch parties, share talk shows and or group talk conversations on all things sports fans and the teams care about. So imagine while watching a game, you can be in an exclusive watch party where a former coach, an MVP player, a celebrity commentator are giving their own commentary of a game in progress. Perhaps vetted superfans are allowed to ask their favorite coach or player a question, or you and your buddies who are gambling on a game really want to be in a room where you can all interact with each other in real time with tips on the game as it progresses from the experts. So many opportunities for social interaction, for real-time engagement. Some highlights from the app interface: the ability to create or join a live chat room, join channels, and follow favorite teams. gain exclusive analysis and insights from superfans and insiders, any number of avenues for enhanced social interaction and enhanced user engagement. Now think about what's happening on the back end in this experience. So in addition to the user presentation layer and the fact that it's very engaging, you're now building very sophisticated data models to help you with everything from understanding the psychographics of your audience to, again, just building a contextual advertising campaign. Liveplay Mobile is a gaming app sitting at the intersection between mobile gaming, live streaming, and linear television. And by gaming, I mean like a game TV show kind of a thing. So in this instance, I'm going to actually see how well video plays back to the webinar in a second. You're going to see a live game show on the left. So let's take a look at what this is like.
Oh, 75, thank you for raining gold flakes into my hair.
Look at that screen, you guys. Who liked it? Oh, G Money G with a unicorn.
M-Mooj, or is it M-Mooj? Let me know. Oh, 75, congratulations.
So what you're basically seeing is interaction that was overlaid on the video that was generated by the users. Think of this basically as HQ on steroids, but where they actually figured out how to monetize it. Oops, sorry about that, guys. Another trend study that I wanted to bring to your attention, we talked about how we can also be used for remote production. So TVU, they have about 1,000 cable TV stations that they power worldwide. So they have a product called Studio One, which basically enables a control room in the cloud, utilizing social audio as a walkie-talkie, enabling real-time monitoring of on-location, on-set production, even live monitoring of the feed before it goes live to broadcast. And of course, it could just as easily be used as a distribution mechanism by these guys as well. And here's an example from Rakuten Live, where they literally do combine e-commerce with interactivity and live video entertainment experiences. So to bring it to a more domestic example, imagine that you're doing Comic-Con, and during a particular presentation, maybe by a very popular actor who, fans love the character that he plays or she plays, while that event is going on, you could also have this little live shopping room going on at the same time, buy like one of the 5 signed versions of the particular actor's doll or movie poster or whatever it is exactly. And then another example, in this instance, it's a company called Netease, which does cloud music. So the key position is their key position was to make a mobile music social community. All right, this isn't just about an app, and it's not just about making the music, it's about the community itself. And that's what they wanted to build, a lot of social engagement into the application. So in some ways, I kind of look at this as like the soup to nuts example. And I have some live screenshots I can share with you. So first, this is their LeaderBoards interface. They have a karaoke room. You'll see there's also a cloud village to make a community. You'll also see that there's a playlist that can be shared with your friends and the ability to co-watch and share content. They even have live shows. So I know that's a lot. I'm going to go through each one of those so we could look at what that actually means. And you see that that's not even where the application itself stops. That's just where it happens to cross over specifically into our side of the universe. So you see we have some screenshot examples of the live show over on the left. And that can include an audio party room. That also can include a host showroom where there's a live broadcast. And then, of course, we have the karaoke room next. Pretty self-explanatory. Frankly, I would love to do that. It sounds like a lot of fun. And then finally, the cloud village. Basically, think of that as like a TikTok. Now over here, what we have is the live broadcasting example, and I'm actually going to be able to play these for you. So in this instance, so you see there's the companion chat going on down there at the same time that the live broadcast is going on, giving people an ability to interact with each other socially without actually interrupting the main viewing experience. But of course, that's not the only way people want to consume content. So in this instance, we have what we call an audio party room, right? So multiple people all interacting with each other through audio, just another example of like the Clubhouse type thing. All right. And now we have what we call a chat room with 2 hosts. So they can do different things to attract attention from viewers and fans. And their fans can help give them virtual gifts, virtual tipping, and virtual applause. So let's take a look at that first. you know, maybe we're doing a reunion show, two actresses that worked on a project together, talking about how great it was. And now over here, we have an example of where they're actually going to do a little competition and the crowd is going to vote on which one of the two win. That's the wrong video. Sorry about that, folks. There we go. And so that was a completely crowd-initiated response. So over here, we again have the audio chat room.
5周岁。
你什么时候15岁的？
我就5周岁。
And now this is the most fun, I think, the karaoke room. So check this out. This is people all singing in synchronization together. So there were actually a couple questions that came in. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to stop and answer them real quick. So the first question was, for interactive live elements, how do you handle comment moderation? That's a great question. So to answer that, that is something that you could do either through a third party, depending on what type of moderation you're looking to do, but also there's a lot of ways to organically do that. So part of the way we would position this would be, this is a premium experience kind of a thing. So if you were in, let's say, the sports use case where you're going to have a wide variety of customers, and you want to make sure that you're within certain guidelines, brand safe, all that kind of stuff. You can vet your customers beforehand. So maybe not everybody gets to ask questions, but everybody can listen. And then, of course, if you wanted to do more heavy moderation, you know, certainly being able to build that into things like a text chat, you know, that's just a technical function. And then we also could theoretically, on the production side, build in a delay. So there's a couple of different ways that you can handle it. Both within the platform and through third-party solutions. And then the next question was, how do we see non-fungible tokens fitting into all of this? Of course, not as at the absurd prices popularized in the news reports. You know, I'll be honest with you, that's a little outside my area of expertise, but I certainly would love to follow up on that conversation with you after. So if you'd like, please feel free to get in touch and I'll connect you with a person that can have a much more intelligent answer for you than I. So I do appreciate that. So we talked about the karaoke room. I don't know, I guess I'm pretty tickled by that. I think that's pretty cool. But that's basically where we are with this. And then finally, this one's really interesting. So, you know, we've talked about the watch party, but this is a little bit more of an intimate type of social interaction. This is the co-listening. So what you're looking at here are two different people on their phones. Perhaps they're very close friends, or maybe even a little bit more intimate than that. And they want to share time together, even though they can't be near each other. Maybe one of them's on a business trip and the other is back at home. So one thing you can do is basically queue up and share your music that you're both listening to at the same time. And you noticed on the left, it was also triggering the actual song in a karaoke-like way. Maybe you're singing to your partner. And then you'll see on the other end of that experience is the person listening. Oh, we lost our audio, but that's what it was supposed to show. So that's what a co-listening use case looks like, again, through Netease. You know, like I said, these guys really did a very soup to nuts audio, social interactions, real-time engagement implementation. And then the final example, it's a little left of center of the other examples I gave, because it's this is another gaming example. It's HQ on steroids. It's interactive live streaming, but they basically proved to be a huge success with virtual tipping. So that's why I bring this up, and I'll go into more of the traditional M&E scenarios where that applies in a second. So these guys are making $4 million a month on the virtual tipping. That's Kumu. That's not the end users that are also making their money off the tips. I bring them up to show the variety of use cases that RTE can be applied to. So, you know, let's combine all of this with the M&E. What if in your video app, you can now have live social interaction or memorabilia from a popular TV show or movie? And so imagine applying the virtual tipping idea as well as the karaoke idea. Are you ready for this, everybody? Into the faith-based space. So imagine this. for a long time, we haven't been able to go to church or temple or any of the, or a mosque. And so we've all been stuck doing it in our cars, doing it through Zoom. What if A, we could all pray and sing together? B, it's not virtual tipping, it's donation, but the mechanism for real-time engagement under the hood for those two use cases is exactly the same. So that pretty much brings us to the end of our trend study. At this point, I'd love to open things up to any questions if you guys have.
Brad, I'm going to be the dreaded guy in the crowd who says this is not so much a question but a comment. But no, as I was watching this presentation, I thought back to the previous session that we had, which is all about live streaming and increasing live streaming engagement. And when you talk about building a bridge between what's going on in the arena or the stadium and folks who are watching at home, even though live events are happening again now in person, clearly for all sorts of reasons, people's eyes have been opened to the fact, and by that I mean the promoters of these events, the creators who are putting on these events, are finally aware of the fact that, let's say, I'll pick a random band, Bruce Springsteen goes on tour, he can hit maybe 38 cities across the US, right? Mm-hmm. There's only so many people who can, for geographic or financial reasons, attend those concerts, and the venues are only so big. So now there's a whole market out there for people who want to attend those events via video. I think promoters and the like have realized that the fears of cannibalization are unfounded and they can actually generate more revenue, but this is a way that they can, like I said, build those bridges. How do you see that playing out in the future?
Yeah, no, Eric, I really appreciate that question. You're obviously quite the forward thinker. One thing that I discovered is, with virtual concerts in China, they are incredibly popular, in part because they've really widely adopted what's called extended reality. Mm-hmm. So it's not even just about the live performance itself. It's about this whole other virtual performance that you're experiencing. So it's like taking AR, VR, 360 video, all that stuff that has been out there, that's still in its infancy, that we've been talking about, but really applying it to a very logical and rational use case. And, by that same token, I would say the other use case that's also true for is really, let's call it the stadium view in general. So, one trend that we're seeing out there in the market, a lot of different stadium venue owners are putting in rings of cameras, 30, 40 cameras, to be able to capture every possible view in the arena. And what that then creates is either a lot of middleware where you need some mechanism to, live switch between the different cameras. Often those camera views will be virtualized. So maybe I'm actually between the frame of the two different, viewpoints, and you're able to stitch them together. It's a lot of heavy lifting. That's the kind of thing where we can handle that in the RTE platform, and really help create augmented experiences. We've all seen like the newscaster at night be able to draw on his little screen, like, oh, what if the play had gone this way? Or what if it, well, now you could do that yourself with your buddies in your room and talk about, hey, So the possibilities are really endless, and the space is just really starting to explode in a very interesting way.
And even before the pandemic hit and more people were watching live concerts at home, here in the US, and I focus on the US because, as you say, in Asia, many of these experiences were already popular for several years now. But, you just look at Travis Scott or Marshmello doing a concert in Fortnite. So younger folks were already becoming accustomed to feeling like they're participating in a live event that's not happening in meat space, right? Sure. So we're only going to see more of that, and how much, as you talk about these rings of cameras, and we talk about these experiences, I want to talk a little tech here. How much of this will be dependent in the future? And I know you've got it working right now with WebRTC. How much will be dependent on or enhanced by the widespread rollout of 5G?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anything that lowers the latency at the last mile is going to just naturally work for us. So, one of the things that we've been talking about is, how does contextualized advertising work in the real-time experience, both from a data gathering perspective and also from a how do you trigger something that's relevant? And my answer to that question, sort of as we were asking it abstractly, was, look, that depends on efficiency of the software and how much the hardware can handle these days. So, but that's, I would like to cage that answer and say on the flip side, so, going to, for example, our optimized, echo cancellation, where we said, okay, we understand not every end device is going to have the same amount of power as like a laptop or a desktop computer. So what other optimizations can we do further up the chain to facilitate that good user experience at the end client device? And that's really why it's more than that's why I said this isn't a delivery conversation. This isn't about latency. This isn't about delivery. It's not even about the number of pops or any of that. This is about how do we enable the experiences? What are the best practices? How do we have them be, really industrial strength so they don't fall over, right? We're not in a science experiment space here. We're in a let's make a lot of money space here. So, yeah. So,
Right.
And look, again, I could talk all day about this. We're really focusing right now on the M&E vertical, which to me is one of the more emerging markets in the RTE space. But you mentioned Fortnite in your prior comment. We're already integrated with oh my God, I'm talking the Unity plugin. Spacing on that for a second. So again, the application is real. Potential is really pretty immense.
Absolutely. It looks like we have a new question in the Q&A tab. How important are bounded latency or synchronization capabilities for ultra low latency use cases like this? Do customers care more about getting their experience as quickly as possible or about getting experiences as close to the same time as possible, right? I mean, sometimes the latency conversation kind of misses the point. It's about synchronization more than it is about the lowest latency possible.
That's exactly right. I mean, you basically answered my own question. So, I guess there are certainly times where I will have a customer come to me and they'll say, well, yeah, Brad, sure. The CDN, there's variability, blah, 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 but our users will accept it. All right, then maybe that's not really the right use case for RTE. Maybe you would be served by CMAF or low latency HLS if we ever actually really see that in the real world. But, but at the end of the day, if you're looking to really create new user experiences, whether that's something as simple as data overlay, but that corresponds directly to something that's happening in the video, or you're looking to encourage the user interaction, I guess the question is, how would you feel if on the Zoom call, we all had variable latency with each other? It wouldn't work.
Right.
So if you're looking at this and you're saying, well, I don't know if I need that latency, maybe you're not in an RTE type of experience.
Sure. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that our next panel coming up at 2:30 Eastern, time zones, man, they're messing me up. It will be about CMAF and Dash HLS interoperability. So if folks want to get deeper into that stuff, that's a great place to do it. Brad, we don't have any remaining audience questions. Is there anything you'd like to wrap up with?
Well, folks, I just want to really stress the point, why real-time engagement? And I think it comes down to a couple of basic things. Number one, it's what's new. Number two, we all saw the increase and proliferation of online consumption of content at the beginning of the pandemic. And I guarantee we are going to see a bit of a de-acceleration very shortly. So what do we do to continue to retain and engage and monetize the audience? And just offering another OTT platform, I don't think that's the way to get there. But offering real-time experiences is, because it also really answers, I think, the need that a lot of us have become even more hyper aware of during this period of time than we were before. And finally, honestly, it goes back to the Google and Facebook thing I mentioned earlier. Why is everybody going into creating their own OTT platform? To increase the monetization, to take back their audience? Okay, for the lean back experience, this is what engages your audience. This takes back your audience. It takes back your revenue. It takes back the value of your IP.
Perfect. And that was that presentation. I mean, we call these presentations tech talks, but that presentation really did strike the perfect balance between talking about the tech, but also, as you said, talking about how the tech enables making a lot of money. So thank you so much, Brad. Your contact information is in the chat, and maybe Steve will be able to find your email address again. I know that was in your first slide. I bet you can probably bring it up faster than Steve can. Or just type it in there yourself. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Brad. And like I said, we will be back in about 45 minutes with a panel discussion on CMAF and Dash HLS interoperability. Thank you so much.